Well, that's a lift control lever in, guys. I just cleaned up the bolts and blacked them just in the oil. You know, you heat them up and put them in the oil. Yeah, it all appears to be working all right. I put a bit of grease on the end of the shaft, you know, that works that control lever. This is adjustable, of course, so I've only nipped this up. Once it's all up and running and going, I'll probably have to readjust it a little bit. And as you know, I fixed that that little lockout thing, so that's done as well. Yeah, come up all right, as I say. I mean, for what it is. I'll just give the dipstick a little bit of a clean up. We're just putting a few little accessories on, as I say. I'm waiting on a couple of parts. What we might have a go at now is the actual starter switch there. I haven't had a close look at that. It might need parts. I've put the cleaned up the clutch shaft and thrust bearing and that. I've got to put a new thrust bearing on, of course. But that's all in and done and working quite nicely. Yeah, so that's coming along. Just watch. There is a washer there on the end. The clutch lever goes there, obviously. There is a washer there, so just watch you don't lose that. Yeah, it's coming along. Well, we're going to have a go at this starter switch. It does work, but wants cleaning up. So yeah, we'll sort of take those couple of those 3 screws out. That should open it up and we'll be able to see inside, see what's going on. Lucas, made in England. It's probably the original one. Yeah, it's to 18552, it says there. That could mean, because I know it's a 52 model. Yeah, that could be the date that part was manufactured. 18th of the 5th, 1952, quite possible. You find these little clues as you pull things apart, and I don't know what the looks like. There's a number. There's a 7641A something or another, an ST, so that's probably the part number. You can just sort of make it out there. Yeah. Well, that just sort of falls apart in your hand. It's under a little bit of spring pressure. They're the contact switches, that and that. They need a bit of a clean up. We'll give them a tidy up. Don't lose the spring, which goes there. Yeah, we'll give that a bit of a tidy up. Might pull those bolts right out and buff them up and go from there. Well, there it is, guys. The starter switch cleaned up. Not much. I mean, look, those 2 contacts that you saw in there are pretty still, they're serviceable. Just cleaned up the black, I think that's Bakelite, that stuff. Give that a sandblast and sprayed a bit of WD-40 on it. Just a case of putting it in. As you can see, they're elongated holes. When we come to start it, we'll check all the adjustment and yeah, it should be all right. Well, that's the starter switch in, guys. Once again, it does have an adjustment. We'll do that once we've hooked everything up properly. Looking at the shaft, that just connects to the bottom of that with a split pin. It only goes one way. You can turn that 180, but that'll mean it pushes that selector shaft that way and it won't work. So yeah, you don't want to be doing that. It's just, yeah, all they are is once you put the gear stick in, obviously, as you push it to the right and forward, that'll push the little ball across that way and push that back that way, which gives you your start. When you're finished, yeah, just sort of springs back. I mean, this ain't springing too well, but yeah, I mean, she's an old girl. What do you do with it? But that's the wonder of the Harry Ferguson starter. And the beauty of it is you can't start the bloody thing in gear. That's unless, of course, you had it in gear and used the crank handle. But why would you use a crank when you've got a perfectly good electric starter? Well, guys, as I said, we've hit the inside of this steering box with JB Weld. Now, I know it looks bulky and ugly. Once I've finished dressing it up, that'll look fine. I've just touched up a couple of other spots where it looked a bit low. Hopefully it won't bloody well leak. We're going to find out. Just started screwing around with a few of these brake parts. That's the adjuster, as you know. Just give it a quick buff up and clean up and that. They're the other components, and of course the little detent ball, which is still in my box of parts. Just give them a polish up. Not really a polish, just a good buff. And of course they sit in like so. I'm going to put just a little bit of copper coat grease on the running surface in there. This is what I was saying about overspray from the manufacturers and that. Now, that's a little polished part. That looks quite acceptable. And it looks a bit better than just black, black, black. You know what I mean? As I say, it's a personal thing, but I just think it looks a bit more detailed. Well, that went together nice and easy, guys. That circlip, basically I just bent that in with a bit of pliers, a pair of pliers. Went in beautifully. You've got to make sure it's in the notch. You'll see the notch when you pull it apart. That is working just fine. There's the ends of the circlip there, as you can just make out. Yeah, pretty happy with that. That'll be all right. That'll hold its position nicely. Well, guys, I probably get a bit anal with this sort of stuff. These are the nuts off the back of those anchor pins, whatever you want to call them, for the brake shoes. We're just rooting around with a few bits. I've sandblasted that. I've ran the threads. I've ran the threads in these and turned them black. As I say, I like to see a little bit of detail. You know, not perfect, but just a bit of detail, and they just look a little bit better than, you know, the bloody standard overspray sort of thing, you know what I mean? So, yeah, we'll put them on and tighten it up. Now, there's a bit of slack in that, but I think it's meant to be there. You may have to adjust these somehow, but anyway, yeah, that's what it is. Well, guys, as you know, this pin's really flogged out. You can see the knurling's basically gone. Now, this was the one that was rattling round heaps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build it up with some weld and turn it back down to a size that's just an interference in there. And then what I'll do is centre punch it quite a few times around there. That'll widen it up a bit, and then I can drive it home. And when the nut pulls up, it should all pull up tight with a bit of luck. And because I can't replicate that knurl, and I'm not going to buy the tool to do it. And it should be nice and tight. All right, guys, we've built up the weld, as you can see. Yeah, we'll just slowly turn it down and see if we can't recondition it a little bit. Stuffing around with the steering column, guys. Yeah, once again, someone's been at it with this elastic, but I also made this shim or plate. I don't think it's a factory thing because of the way it's been manufactured. It's not a bad job. It fits quite well, but in effect, you've lifted up the shaft 1.5 2 mil, which will change the preload on those bloody sector gears, wherever they are. Those ones down there, because in effect you're lifting the whole column up, which is pulling that shaft further that way, which is away from the gear set. Doesn't matter if you adjust it, I suppose. Just trying to work out why they've put that there, but once again, add a ton of elastic around it and all that, so we'll give it a bit of a sandblast. This won't be black, this will be the actual colour of the body panels, whatever that is. So and I've got to take that ID tag off as well. Well, guys, that's the steering column housing, whatever you want to call it, cleaned up, ready for paint. As I say, it'll be the body panel colour, which I still don't know what that is yet. Also worked out how to get out the throttle lever. I knew there was a split pin in it, but I couldn't see how that would help. So anyway, I pulled the split pin and let that drop. But also this bushing, you can tap down through that hole, and that gives you enough room to put the whole assembly up through there. So yeah, I wondered how they bloody well did it, and we had a bit of a look and worked it out. But yeah, that's ready for paint. Got to get a new ID tag, but I think you can get them repro. Yeah, a couple more bits cleaned up anyway, slowly but surely. Well, I've filled up this steering box housing, guys. JB Weld. It's just a touch soft still, actually. I was going to rub this back today, but no, it's still just a little bit soft. We might give it another day. Then we can sand it back flat, re-drill a couple of holes, and that's probably as good as that's going to get. Sealed up that hole there as I was cleaning the other side. This bloody piece popped out and that hole appeared. And as you can see in there, that hole's blocked. That'll have to be re-drilled. Once again, no big deal. That's the fiberglass, come up good. Just hope it doesn't leak. Got a couple of bits in, the gaskets for that, the bearings for the shaft, which is that one. That inner race is just tight. I think it's only just sort of interference tight. That one's just a touch loose, but we'll see how we go with these. But yeah, so new bearings there, the bushings for the cross shafts off the brake pedals that go to each individual wheel at the back. So we're going to bung them in and see how they go. Then we'll paint the shafts and we can put them back in, and while this thing's still drying. Well, guys, this is where these little bushings go. Little brass or brass bush. Clean out that hole nice and tidy, as you can see. A little bit of a scratch there. It'll be all right. Sit that in, and it's virtually pushing home. And just give it a little tap. Trying to do this one-handed, as usual. Just till she's flush. And that's home. I'm not going to push it all the way in. I don't think I need to. Yeah, the further out this way, the probably more support it'll give. If that's right in, you tend to get maybe more of a leverage action. When we assemble that, we'll put some grease in there, and the job's done. Well, guys, I've patched this up as best I can. I've put the JB weld up right round the hole and then drilled it. Reason being, fluid can't go that way and up through the bolt. Surfaces are flat. I think we'll be okay. I'll put, as much as I hate this stuff, I'll put a little bit of Celastic sealer on it or Sikaflex or something like that, and new gaskets, and I think we'll be okay. So this bit's done. I've got to get some new seals, and we can start thinking about putting the steering box back together. As I said, I've got the new bearings for that shaft, so that should be serviceable. The housing, I think I've showed you this before. Oh yeah, I did, yeah, because I worked out how to get the bloody throttle lever out. Sorry, my camera angles are always wrong. Yeah, so the new bearing outer race sits in nice and tight in the ends. So that's got to be cleaned up, and as I said, I think that'll be body colour. And that's our plate. I think you've seen this as well. So, funnily enough, as corroded as that was in there, and that's the steering box. Oh, hang on, I beg your pardon. Yeah, that's the steering box side. There's absolutely no corrosion on that whatsoever now. It's just a bit of mild steel plate. It just attacked the aluminium. Now, as I say, why that is, I don't know. As I say, I'm thinking it's like speedboat outboard motors, how they have the sacrificial metal at the bottom of them on the leg of the motor, just to draw corrosion. I don't know, maybe this is the same. Well, as I say, guys, there's madness in my methods. I do a piece here and a piece there. I want to, this is the dashboard, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4, a few holes here, and I'm going to fill in. I'll leave them. I want to put maybe a couple of extra the air intake will be slightly different from original. Couple of extra gauges, couple of switches, you know. Don't know what the gauges will be. I've got an hour meter. That'll be temp and oil, or oil and temp. Might put an amps, you know, that sort of thing. But yeah, I want to fill that hole in. I'm no panel beater. And these as well, like I say, this will be interesting, but I'll be able to get some sort of result. It's not going to be a, you know, a Chip Foose or a Boyd Coddington type bloody customisation, but we'll have a go. Well guys, I'm no panel beater as you know, but doesn't mean I won't have a go. Cut a piece of sheet out of that. Unfortunately this is gal, but I've scraped all the gal off it, so it's welding all right, so it should be okay. Cut a piece out, and I'm just tacking it slowly around. I think the theory is here, don't get it too hot so it doesn't warp. I don't know for sure. As I say, I'm no panel beater, but we'll just keep going. We'll fill that in slowly with MIG, just a touch, and then let it cool, and another touch, let it cool. Then I suppose we have to sand it back down somehow, and without thinning out the metal. And same at the back. The back I'll just use like a what do we got here? Turn that over. The back I'll just use a like a tar-based paint, something pretty thick, you know, so it hides a lot of that. Body filler on the front. Couple more holes here and there to fill, as I said. Yeah, I'm no panel beater, but as I say, that doesn't mean we won't have a go. I'm just thinking, should I put a few welds on the other side, but this side's harder to clean. Yeah, now we might just do it from the front side, and that way I can sort of grind that flat. But as I say, I don't want to go too hard because we'll thin out the metal. We'll see how we go. Well, that's those holes filled in, guys. Looks a bit dodgy, but we'll clean it up. Just filled those with a bit of weld. Seems to have come up all right. They're factory holes. Those two will, yeah, it gives us sort of a flat area to work with. Let's get the sander going and see how we go. Well, that's that panel done, guys. Patch is all right. That is lower than those two areas, so that'll be filled in with a bit of body filler. You'll hardly see it. Rest of it's all right. Yeah, sort of a blank canvas to work with now, so I can work out, you know, what I want to do with the gauge sets. And as I say, the back I'll just do in a good thick sort of tar paint, and yeah, you'll never bloody notice. You know, it should be all right, and that'll be the panel colour. Just finished powder coating the steering arms that come out of the steering box there. Yeah, just detailed them a bit, just sort of ground back some of the casting marks and that, and yeah, they come up pretty good actually with a bit of a powder coat. It's like anything, it's all in the preparation. Also, I've replaced. That's that. Oh, look, I'll call it a Welch plug for whatever it is. Just turned it up out of aluminium, little bit of sealer around it, and just tapped it in, and that'll seal that part of the gearbox, just in case it leaks, you know. So yeah, just there's always little jobs. This is the lower dash area, and these are the bonnet clips by the look of it, or bonnet latches. Well, not by the look of it, they are. Needs to be cleaned up. That's the side you see, that's your ignition switch. That's your choke cable, that's your throttle. That will be body panel colour, whatever that is. I think they're aluminium, these handles. Should be able to polish them up a bit and get them looking a bit better. Yeah, needs a good dress up, but we'll start pulling these to bits. I've taken a few photos just as reference, because this might be a bit funny how all this goes back together, but we're going to find out. Well, that's the lower dash strip down. Not too hard. These are the nuts that go behind the handles. They're brass. They are going to look pretty smart polished up, I reckon. So just little details, little highlights. But yeah, you can make these things nice. So the other bits, that doesn't look like it comes apart any further. So we'll buff that up and make it as nice as we can. That's the handle, which, as I say, I'm almost certain is aluminium. We can polish that up. In fact, we're going to have a go right now. Here's a before and after for you guys. That's the before. Looks lovely. Nice blue paint. Yeah, rusty, all of that looks good, yep. And there's the after. A little bit of elbow grease. It's not a bad polish job. It's not the best, but could probably use a little bit more work there. But I reckon that looks a hell of a lot better than that does. Well, that's your basic Tea20 bonnet latch handle. The nut is actually steel. I thought it might have been brass, but unfortunately it's steel. Doesn't matter. What we'll do is I've cleaned it right up, and we'll turn it black. You know, heat them up cherry red, dump it in the oil, and turns them a nice black, shiny sort of black, and yeah, it'll look all right. Another before and after, guys. That's the little latch assembly. That's just been buffed on the wire buff over there, that one over there, as you can see. It doesn't come apart. As you can see, it's been bronzed up from the factory, so I just buffed it as good as I could with the wire wheel. Yeah, same thing. Oh, that'll be turned black, same as those, just buffed up on the wire wheel. Black them up and they'll look nice as compared to, you know, the whole thing here. Yeah, just, you know, it's probably never been touched since bloody Harry put it together in the factory. So, yeah, and of course that's got to be done yet, but yeah, little parts, and things go back together so much easier when they're clean and the threads have been run and all of that. It does make a big difference. I've got to work on my camera work, so I had it up there and it should be down there. My apologies. Yeah, no, just all the threads, you know, run the threads and that. I've got to put new split pins in everything, of course. Got plenty of them. But that won't be going back until this has been painted. The back of it, which is that, will be black. And the front, as I said, will be whatever colour the body panels are. Well, that's our steering box housing hopefully done and painted. Come up all right. Yeah, not too bad, just masked off a few bits and pieces there. Got two new seals right there for in there, or on those shafts basically, there you go. So there's new seals for them. We got also delivered brand new brake linings. So that's them as opposed to the old ones. I had to get those new centralisers. I think I mentioned they were broken. What else have we done? That's about it, really. Well, that's part 3, guys. Thank you to my subscribers and viewers. I shall see you very shortly in part 4.